Abuelo, why won't you just show me? I had been pleading with the old woman for what felt like hours. Her tired, cloudy eyes watched me, inscrutable in their deep sockets. After a long silence, she finally spoke. If I show you, there is no going back. You must understand that, child. A spark of excitement lit inside my chest, but it was shadowed by a sense of doubt. What do you mean there's no going back? I asked cautiously. She sighed, though not in frustration. Child, if I show you the mistake, you can never unsee it, never unknow its power. The great tragedy is that I too ask the same question around your age, so I know the only way to sate your curiosity is by experiencing it yourself. I considered her words carefully. I knew something of the knowledge that comes with seeing something new, something that changed your perspective. I recalled my first hunt, the sight of the struck deer struggling on the ground, with the arrows sticking from its chest, gasping for breath, a sight that still came back to me in my dreams sometimes. But I was nearly grown now, and though I had cried for the deer, I could handle knowing about whatever the old woman guarded in the deep cavern. I'm ready. We descended the cold stone steps with a slowness that drove me mad. Abuela walked in front, insisting on leading the way with a dim torch in one hand, her wrinkled hand on the wall for support. I wanted to hurry up, to take those steps 3 at a time so I could finally know the truth about her post as the guardian. I had always wanted to know about the thing she guarded in the deep caverns, the thing the rest of the family only spoke of in hushed whispers. I recalled my father's refusal to discuss it with me at all when the first time I'd heard of it, the sad look on his face when I wailed and pleaded for him to tell me. I had asked my older cousins and later their wives and husbands, only to receive a similar response. You'll know when you're old enough, and by then you'll wish you didn't, was what it usually came down to. As we continued to descend the steps, I became aware of an odor, something different from the normal smells of the deep caverns. It wasn't quite stale or rot, but it was distinctly foul in a way that was unique and unsettling. I started to feel nauseous, but I didn't want Abuela to know. I knew if I told her, she'd probably make us turn back, and I'd come too far for that now. We're here. There's still time if you want to turn back, Abuela asked, turning to me. The torchlight flickered off her clouded eyes and little else, the space in front of us still dark as night. I have to. We've come all this way. She nodded and continued on into the vast darkness ahead. I followed close behind, my heart racing. The darkness around us was like the obsidian mirrors used by the heretic priests of the betrayer. It seemed to drink the torchlight and offered nothing in return. There was no sound here. Our footsteps did not echo, and our breath made no noise. I reached for Abuela's cloak, grabbing onto it like a lifeline. After walking about 100 feet into the vast abyss, she stopped abruptly. It's straight ahead, child. Do not look at their faces if you can help it, or they will never leave your dreams. My fingers uncurled and I stepped around her cautiously. Ahead, I noticed a faint blue glow that was not there a moment prior. I walked toward it, drawn in by the strange light in this dark place. As I approached, the light became brighter, and I became aware of a click, click, click noise. The sound made my skin crawl, but I could not turn back. I needed to see. At first, I didn't realize what I was looking at. The sight in front of me looked more like a mass grave than a creature or entity. Was Abuela guarding a tomb? But then I saw it, how the bones moved in concert with one another, how the hands connected to other hands and formed a monstrous wrist that led to a large, interconnected skeleton. Each stiff movement produced a sickening noise, bones rubbing on bone in a way they never should. Its size was impossible, Surely every person who had ever lived was buried in this tomb and had become part of this terrible construct. I realized I was looking into the face of a skull a moment too late, and by then I could not turn away. Here in this dark cavern, beneath the floor of the deepest cave I knew, were the remains of every mistake, every experience that could never be undone. I saw the past and future of my people, of myself and my parents, and every ancestor who had come before me, in the deep sockets of our regrets personified. I closed my eyes, but the image remained, and I understood what Abuela had tried to tell me. I walked back to her slowly, the urgency I had carried on the descent gone. When I was close enough to touch her, she reached out and took my hand, her arthritic fingers clasping around my palm with some effort. "You saw. You are changed." I nodded. I had no words remaining after the knowledge I had gained. Together, we ascended the stairs, but a part of me was gone, tethered back in that cavern, never to see the light again.